She was less than a mile away from home, but never arrived. Hello, true crimerers. This is the case of Rhonda Hinson. Viewer discretion is advised. Just a heads up, this is going to be a very long video, around 9 minutes or so sorry about that. At the time of this case, Rhonda Hinson was a 19-year-old girl living in the Valdez, North Carolina area. Rhonda was one of 2 kids in the family, and she had actually just recently graduated from high school. Rhonda was described as a genuinely, just incredibly friendly person. A very popular young woman. She had a huge group of friends. She was athletic. She played tennis. She played basketball. She ran track. She did the baton. Every year she marched in the local Thanksgiving parade. She just had a really bright future ahead of her. But whatever that future may have been will never be known. It was just 3 days before Christmas, December 22nd, 1981. Rhonda worked for a local steel company, and she was, I guess, a clerical worker there. And on that night, they were having their Christmas party. And so Rhonda attended that party, and she brought along 2 of her friends. This is her pictured with her, I guess, one-time boyfriend. It sounds like at this point they were no longer together, but she did not invite him to the party, just the 2 friends. The 2 friends were like, that's kind of weird. We don't work there, but sure, we'll go. At approximately 12:30 in the morning, Rhonda and her 2 friends got into her car because she drove them, and they were leaving the party. And so Rhonda would drop off each of her friends, and then the plan was for her to go home. It does sound like her parents thought initially that she was going to be staying the night at one of her friends' house, but that's ultimately not what she ended up doing. She dropped the friends off and was heading back home. She never called her parents to tell her that, which was kind of unusual to them because they're like, she usually calls. But for whatever reason, she did not this time. Her mom said at around 1 o'clock in the morning, the mom, just woke up suddenly from this feeling. She felt that something had happened to her daughter. She woke up her husband, Rhonda's father, and he immediately got on the police scanner that he owned. And he heard about a homicide that literally just occurred. And this homicide occurred near the Mineral Springs Mountain Road exit, the exit that Rhonda would have taken to get home. And she was driving down this, really kind of dark road, and this was near the I-40 bridge. So police were notified of a car that had been sitting at a weird angle in a ditch off the road. When police arrive, they find more than what they were expecting. Because at first, people just thought this was an abandoned car. It was definitely not that. In this recreation from Unsolved Mysteries, when police approached the car, the driver's side door was open, and then there was someone lying in the ditch next to it. And this individual, a woman, was lifeless. She had been killed. A bullet had pierced her heart. The victim was then identified as 19-year-old Rhonda Hinson. So the bullet pierced through her heart, and when processing the crime scene, the car, the bullet had gone through the trunk of her car first, and then it went through the back seat behind the driver's seat, and then it passed through right here in the seat, right where Rhonda was sitting, which would have been her heart. 1 gunshot. That was it. At least that's all they had evidence of. So first and foremost, with regards to the crime scene, police did not take photographs of the car as it was found. They had closed the driver's side door for some reason before taking a photo of it. They also collected latent prints from the vehicle that did not match Rhonda. However, according to one of the local news stations, those prints are now lost. They do not have them anymore. As a matter of fact, pretty much all of the evidence is now gone. They do still have the bullet and they have the clothing Rhonda was wearing, but that's about it. It was just really poor police work. Rhonda's dad would tell the police that in the weeks leading up to this incident, Rhonda, who normally did not mind going places alone, but suddenly she was beginning to ask her father, Bobby, to go with her every place she went. And at one point, he says that she told him, Dad, I gotta tell you something important, and that she was struggling to say what it was, but then she never ended up saying what it was. And her father regrets never pushing her for the information. And in the weeks leading up to this case, her mom and her dad noticed that Rhonda was having insomnia. She was up late at night. She was taking showers in the middle of the night, which according to police and experts suggested that mentally that is something that sexual abuse survivors might do. So was that the thing she wanted to say? They'll never know. But I do know that both of her parents, they regret never asking. In 1996 or 1997 or so, they were reinvestigating this case and they were trying to determine the trajectory of the bullet. Because at this point, they don't have a lot of the crucial evidence. They actually don't have the trunk lid. The trunk lid was essential to figuring out what angle this bullet entered, because that would help them to determine if the shot had come from somewhere at an upward angle, downward angle, or straight shot. Her car was in neutral when it was found. So they don't really know for sure if she was not in motion when the gunshot went off, or if she was driving and the person just got really lucky. Because that's a damn good shot. But without that crucial evidence, they may never be able to figure it out. Now, there were a couple of witnesses who saw things that may jump out. One witness says she saw, roughly 30 minutes before the time Rhonda would have been killed, she saw a blue vehicle kind of parked under the bridge right near where Rhonda's car would eventually be found. The witness here saw two white males, younger looking white males in the seats. Another witness saw a similar blue car parked also somewhere nearby with one individual, a male, in it. And then another witness said they saw something similar and then they went under hypnosis to see if they could remember anything else. And so the audio you're about to hear is the actual audio from the hypnosis. This is from Unsolved Mysteries.
There's Chevelle. It looks blue. 70 model, I believe. Looks like the front end has been messed up. It's in primer. The primer's gray. He's not a big guy. He's 6 foot, 5'10". He's about medium build. Sort of a dark brown-headed guy.
I don't know what it is, but those audios they always play on Unsolved Mysteries of like hypnosis and stuff, they're always just so creepy. But at any rate, this individual saw a man outside of the driver's seat of Rhonda's car. It looked like he was maybe talking to someone, pulling someone out from it. But the driver initially was like, oh, there's just probably a drunk driver. Maybe a couple got into a fight. They didn't really know. We are now in 2025, and her killer has still not been found. Thanks large in part to all of the missing evidence and people just not coming forward. Now, I want to say this. If you go online and you read about this case, you will see people who are naming individuals who they think might be responsible for this. However, police have not released any names in terms of being a suspect or persons of interest. So for the sake of being responsible about this, I'm not going to say any of their names or their relation to Rhonda. But you can see those names, if you look online. I'm sure, most of you know by now that I'm just not one of those creators who throws out names without having the police say, yeah, this guy's a suspect or this girl's a person of interest or whatever, because that can hinder the case. This is an unsolved murder. And the last thing I want to do is just be irresponsible so I can get more views or something, but that's just not what we do here. But people who are connected to the case, close to it, you can see their thoughts online. But as of today, the mystery of who killed Rhonda Hinson, it remains unsolved. Someone fired one gunshot through the trunk of her car that pierced her heart. Either that's a really deliberate shot or someone just going crazy got lucky. And they don't know if it was a random thing or if this was planned or what. That's why they need your help, the public's help. Surely somewhere, someone out there knows exactly what happened. Maybe you're no longer associated with the person who may be connected to this case. Now you can come forward. You can do so anonymously. You do not have to say who you are. They just need the information to lead them to her killer. This is a family who have now gone decades without their loved one because someone took her away from them. She deserves justice. So if you saw something, if you know something, you have got to say something. If you have any information on the murder of Rhonda Hinson, please call the Burke County Sheriff's Department at 828-764-9549.